I teased my temptation to tread the troubled turmoil of the Tiber. In fact, I think I said I was about 95% decided to do that. And, well, I haven't done that. But as I was considering the waters to the Vatican City, I discovered some flotsom in the Tiber along the way. And you guys may all be familiar with this book already, but I wasn't. And so I thought I'd share some thoughts about it and reflections on it and where it fits in my general consideration of my relationship to the Roman Church these days and the poor beleaguered Roman Church these days in general. Why, you might wonder, am I tempted by something like Roman Catholicism at all? And it's pretty simple. Although I enjoy living in my tin can, and although I consider my own patrimony, my own tradition, as we tend to say these days, to be perfectly valid, I am sort of alone, and it would be nice to be able to have a community. I should probably make a video of this part, and you can read it at your leisure. My bishop has blessed me, as they say, given me permission, dispensed, depending on what fancy ecclesiastical nomenclature you wish to use, to celebrate the Eucharist by myself. But one never does that by oneself. There's always the angels and archangels and all the company of heaven. But still, the idea of celebrating with a larger group of the church is attractive. And I have sometimes cheated, so to speak, and just gone to Mass at our lovely local parish. I mean, lovely by modern standards. Our Lady Star of the Sea. I mean, I knew all the responses and when to beat my chest and all those sorts of things. And, but somehow that seems kind of, as I say, a cheat. I mean, the priest communes me, but should he really? And so I thought I would talk to him and see what it would take to for him to allow me to receive communion honestly. I had gone to a Mass and just sat in my pew. And let me be honest about this whole thing, because it's an important part of why I don't go over to Rome. It was a pretty dry meal without a lot of nourishment. Vatican II, as I said, may not be entirely wrong, but the Mass that is celebrated now is a far cry from what I had been enchanted by when I first heard it when I was in junior high school. But I thought, okay, for private use, one still has an awful lot of older uses, and I could occasionally go to that Vat II Mass, and if I were going to kind of be more Roman Catholic, I could use something like this. So I ordered this book from, I don't know whether it's from Christian Book or Amazon. And there are a lot of things I like about it, and I was also quite surprised. It has all of the offices. They haven't suppressed Prime as so many recent revisions do. And then has proper to the season, and I'd forgotten, for instance, that being accustomed to stir up in the Book of Common Prayer in the Roman translation is quicken, O Lord, we beseech thee the wills of thy faithful people. I kind of like stir up, but that might just be because I'm used to it, and quicken means sort of bring back to life, and that's not a bad thing. This is an American book, so after the collects for the Sundays of the years are propers for Thanksgiving. Anyway, this is it's kind of like an American version done by the guys in Baltimore. And what date? I'm sure it tells in the introduction. Kind of does what Cranmer did for the English prayer book. It took the Book of Hours and rearranged them for private use. This is not a book that monks and nuns and other religious are dispensed to say, probably. But it's an office that can be said by anyone, and this is a rearrangement of the office to make it possible to be said by anyone. And what surprised me so much, 1888 was the date I was looking for, the Third Plenary Council of Baltimore, which made a manual prayer, and this is a revised edition of that done by Tan Press. I was not expecting so much psalmody. Now, it is interesting that there are links in this revision to things that are not in this edition, so, well, there's that. It's not a perfect book, but it's a charming book, and it arranges the psalms to be prayed for any of the hours of the day, and there are readings in the usual canticles and versicles and responses, and the hymns of the Theotogus and the like, anthems, I think we call them in the West, don't we? But there's also something that is sort of unique. Most often in prayer books like this, if you turn to the back, there'll be, prayers for various occasions, and there'll be collects and prayers from the fathers of the church, and if you're a more recent kind of Reformation sort of folks, there'll be prayers by the Reformation sort of folks. But these are prayers. These prayers are all psalms and hymns. So that if you are looking for prayers because you are sorry for your sin, well, you have I haven't actually checked to see if these are the usual penitential prayers or not, but they're psalms. It's psalmody. It's a book that sort of follows the advice of Isaac of Nineveh. You just start praying. How do you pray the office? Well, you just start with the psalms and just pray till you're out of steam. So that was a lovely and surprising thing for me to find. Also, this book is physically a delight. The paper is sturdy. There's no bleed through. It has nice gold edges. It smells good, although I guess it's some kind of once was a skin and now squeezed together. It doesn't quite have enough ribbons. It has 3, but, for that there are bookmarks. So we still have a few more days of Salve Regina before we go to the Mater Christi. So I thought, having discovered this, I would share with you. I should also, I suppose, tell you why I decided not to swim the Tiber, since that's kind of what sponsored this, started this little video. Even though there's all kinds of magnificent stuff at the Vatican that, I guess would be mine more than ever if I did what it took to become a real Roman Catholic. But I went and I talked to the priest there, a nice young Ghanaian guy, because, well, in this country, unfortunately, for whatever reason, and I won't go into that there, people signing up for the priesthood are fewer all the time. I don't remember what book it was that C.S. Lewis said something, and I'm paraphrasing him, that God created the universe out of love, and he moves it out of love, and basically it's that love is the law of God. So I talked to this priest, and he was clever and lively a little bit, but all the questions that he asked me were legalistic, and everything was going to have to be cleared with his bishop. And I thought, why would I abandon my own bishop, even though he is approaching 100 and suffering from dementia, but who is indeed a saintly fellow who has always given me good advice, but not particularly legalistic advice. One of the things that my Bishop Richard did, for instance, for many years in Santa Fe, was baptize Roman Catholic, or would-be Roman Catholic bishop children, because the parents did not have, they were from Guatemala and Mexico and places, and they didn't have all the proper marriage license for the legalities of the Roman Archdiocese of Santa Fe. So they would show up at Richard's door, and he had a little chapel, and he would baptize all these kids. And they were children of God, and it didn't matter to Richard whether their parents had proper papers or not. Papers, we don't need no slurping papers. And then, of course, they were cool to go to the Roman Church, where for a fee they could be confirmed and the like. Well, for freedom you have been made free, Paul says, and I don't know that I want to be restricted to a certain path to walk past the monuments of the grandeur of the Roman Empire, especially Roman Empire, which now says what was once required is forbidden. I know a lot too much about what's going on in the Roman Church these days, and it doesn't make me happy. And I am consoled, perhaps, by the fact that, well, there was war in heaven, and if there's war even in heaven, then certainly there might be war under the dominical dome of Rome, where they supposedly have the bones of Peter. But this week, at least, I'm going to just kind of sit back and be a voyeur. Actually, I'll make another teaser. I've been hanging out with the folk at St. Herman of Alaska, the local OCA parish. Very different, of course. And I'm visiting them for similar reasons. I want a community. Not all the time. That's advantage or disadvantage. My sort of pre-list. It's nice to be able to be alone when I want to be alone, and at the same time, I wouldn't mind having choirs of angels and archangels and local human beings singing along with me. Well, thanks for watching, and I appreciate your likes and subscribes and comments and shares or whatever you do. because they encourage me to just keep making more of these silly videos exploring what it's like to be a silly old man living in a tin can at the edge of nowhere.